Yo. All right, so some of you guys asked what I use for my plugins. I use the Slate Digital Bundle, and I'm actually going to show you some of the plugins that I use from the Slate Digital Bundle. I use some other stuff typically, but I'm going to show you guys what you could do with just the Slate stuff in this project. Here's a little loop that I made just for this.
You got me feeling amazing, babe. I wanna love it so many ways.
And this is what I did with it. Okay, so on the main vocal, one of the plugins that I use most of the time on almost all of my vocals, I really love the Virtual Mix Rack a lot. It comes with a ton of options for different EQs and compressors and pre's. I'm using what would essentially be like a 1073, a SSL channel, a distressor, equivalent essentially by Slate. Really, really like how it sounds. That is going into MoTT. If you guys don't use Ableton, obviously Ableton has the plugin that I use typically, which is OTT. If you don't have that, you have the option of using MoTT. There's also another version by another company, which I will touch on at a later date, but this one's pretty nice. It gives you a lot of different options. It's got a lot of really interesting presets. I'm using it a little bit to kind of like push the vocals, the brightness of the vocals up a little bit. That is a preset, Vocal Clarity, that I'm using for this. Then it goes into my favorite reverb plugin as of right now, which is the Verb Suite Classic. I literally don't do anything to this. I literally just turn the dry wet down and it sounds almost exactly like what I want it to sound like. Sometimes I'll change some of the EQ stuff right here. I didn't need as much low end in the EQ, so I took out some of the low, some of the mid. I just wanted some high end presence in the EQ into an infinity EQ. This is literally just cutting, rolling off anything below. It looks like 500. It's actually not that dramatic until it kind of gets down to the lower frequencies, which I would need for the bass. I really like this plugin. It's a dynamic EQ, which is a nice option, especially if you don't have a dynamic EQ that you use, or you're not super familiar with compression or multiband stuff. Having the multiband dynamic EQ option is fantastic. I do genuinely love it. With all that on the vocals, this is what it sounds like.
You got me feeling amazing, babe.
And without it,
I wanna love it so many ways.
with it,
No other lover.
nice and bright, nice and big, nice and verbed out.